How many of you have this book? Yep. So I don't know if you know, this is the book we are discussing. Most of the teachers are discussing this book. It's very interesting, glimpses of divine life, and the background picture is the new Habibpur temple in Bengal. So, the discussion part I was supposed to take is life of fulfillment, life of discipline, and life of love. So, then we have been attending Sri Guruji's talk. So, Guruji is basically reviewing this the book already. We just need Guruji is talking about same thing. Then today I attended Amitabh's talk. I think he summarized the whole thing. So, I said what? So, basically there is not much to mention. So, I thought we have a question and answer session most likely tomorrow with Sri Guruji, but we did not organize a discussion class where we can interact. I think that we did not plan, we forgot about it. So, I thought maybe we will do a little bit of interaction and discussion in this session. We are discussing mostly about Sri Gurudev as a being, as a guru, as a spiritual master, and also as a Kriya Yoga Acharya or Kriya Yoga teacher. So, all these three things are coming together. Most of these things in the book are adjectives, in the sense how Gurudev manifested different qualities in his life and as part of his inspiration. There is one of the definition of, not definition, expectation from Acharya is that Acharya must be Acharana Siddha. Siddha means perfection, Acharana means behavior or lifestyle. So, a teacher must manifest certain things in his life or her life for the students to follow, and this is a teaching from Sri Krishna, that those who are teachers must follow this. But then I recently read, I am reading a very light reading book. There he says, where did I read? He says that a realized master has no rule. We will talk about what is the logic behind it. He said he may do something in the world, he or she realized, but he is not necessarily being a man. So, a realized person, whether a man or woman, has no rules, may help others practically or may not, may come to the world and teach like Sri Gurudev taught, or may not, may go back to somewhere and do not even see others, may shout at you, may be loving. Basically, there are no rules. I read in Ramana Maharshi's one of his story that he was called to the court for some dispute, and there are rules in Indian Penal Code that if you are a married person, there are some rules. If you are a bachelor, there are some rules for you. If you are a monk, there are some rules applied to. So, if you are a monk, you cannot claim property from your father. In Indian system, it is there. So, he was asked, he said, which of these you follow? He said, I follow none, I am above all this. So, I think it is something we should realize, though in a general sense we have some expectations and fair expectations from realized gurus, their interactions with us are not predictable. It cannot be predicted. We must acknowledge that, we must accept it. So, we say that, right, Couple of years ago, Sri Guruji was taking food right here in, below that marble thing, waste time none with God. And today Guruji is not taking food. There might be some questions in us, why and all this. Those why is actually not relevant. So you can ask why, but that the answer would come is not, I mean, that asking that question itself is erroneous. And this is what that in the Yoga Sutra he says that the activities or the work of a realized person is neither good nor bad, nor good or bad. It is it says ashukla krishna. It is beyond good and beyond bad. Hence, it cannot be rationalized. It cannot be rationalized. I remember a story. You might have heard this from Sri Guruji. A disciple of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yesterday, Guruji mentioned that the Kadarashram monks or whoever used to get, so in the Kadarashram the students used to get different kinds of rice, you remember that? And they will mix and there will be different kinds of rice. So the story is about one disciple of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Some say it happened. I heard it from Sri Guruji. That they will go and bake. So somebody will give plain white rice, somebody will go parboiled rice, somebody will go rice, we call it ekopaikia, means very brown, which is similar to brown rice. So they would all collect and boil it together, and as you can know, brown rice will cook, white rice will cook quicker. So while the this person was bringing the rice, one mother said, why are you carrying different kinds of rice? You give me that rice, I will give you same kind of rice, same weight. So suppose 2 kgs of this mixed rice, I will give you 2 kgs of white rice, let us say. It was a fair thing. So he got it, and when he came, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw it. He said, what did you do? He said, this is what I did. And if you look at really rationally, I mean, it definitely could be a mistake, but it is not a mistake, right? Would you consider it as a mistake? Like plus mistake plus, no, right? But you know what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did? What I heard is that he said, I don't want to see your face again. Go away from here. And what we hear, that he went from that place, he went to Prayagraj, which is Allahabad previously. He entered Ganga and took Samadhi. Samadhi means he died. So Baba asked, we are few of us, and Baba asked this question, so what do you think? I said, Baba, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was cruel. See, in our rational mind, it cannot put it together. But it is said that each and every thing that come out of a realized being is always auspicious, always auspicious. So the anger is auspicious, the scolding is auspicious, the love is auspicious. I mean, inauspicious thing cannot come out of it. That is the very basis of realization. So that's why the Guru is Mangalakaraka, means that any gesture or any act, physically, orally, is auspicious. Hence, it cannot be rationalized. You see, you cannot rationalize it. Why it is auspicious? There is a little bit of understanding I have got from Yoga Sutra. It is said that when a realized being become realized, the mind becomes a new mind. It's called Nirmana Chitta, new mind. And that new mind is called Ishvara Chitta, or the mind of God, or cosmic mind, what Sri Gurudev calls as cosmic mind. A realized being is continuously operating using the cosmic mind, whereas us, we are using an individual mind. So, the individual mind consists of individual identity, and the cosmic mind does not have identity, individual identity. So, hence it is just a thought to share. Expectations from gurus with respect to anything can put us a little bit into a difficult situation. That Baba should behave like this. Baba did not touch me, touch him. These kind of things eventually, I mean, some of you might have already experienced. If not, you will experience it. All of us will experience it. Because realized being, though they operate on a plane which the Shastras call it as Sahaja Samadhi, means they are operating as a very Sahaja Avastha, a being a state of being very normalized like us. Their identification with pure consciousness is never discontinued. And some of us have noticed it in our spiritual journey. But if you have seen when Baba is guiding meditation, I first heard, because I first attended Baba's journey in Denver. In Denver, I heard in each meditation, and today you wait for that statement to come and see what it is. In Chicago, I heard, yesterday, day before I heard, after the meditation, this is what Baba is saying. He says, perceiving God in you, I bow. Have you heard of this? Did you hear this? Please note this statement. Perceiving God in you, I bow. Means that I see you, but just behind you or within you, I see the pure truth. Now, it is not that the pure truth is visible in this body or your body, it is also in the space. At least after COVID, my observation is that Baba's teaching is mostly focusing is that you cannot perceive, we understand that. Remind yourself that. I perceive and I bow to you. You remember and bow. This is what my understanding that I came out of it. Anyway, we will come to Sri Gurudev's life. Most of us have known Sri Gurudev, some of us have physically seen him. How many physically saw? So, almost 20% saw here. Knowledge can come from pratyaksha, means direct experience, direct seeing, touching, hearing directly, pratyaksha, or paroksha. Paroksha means somebody has told us, somebody mentioned to us, or shastra, or somebody written about it. Most of our knowledge about Sri Gurudev has come from these three. Anything else, unless somebody has sees vision and things like that, that is a very different thing. But practically, in a very simple sense, either we have met Sri Gurudev or heard about him from books, heard about him from people, disciples, or read about him. And many times, people who have met Gurudev, others feel that they are fortunate enough that they met, which is true. But connecting with Sri Guru comes in a different layers. The diksha that we get in Kriya is Shakti, like the Acharya does, that's some prana pratishtha or establishment of life force of Guru in the body. But there are other Diksha mechanism where the Guru does through just observing us, looking at us, by thinking of us. So, there are different ways to connect to Sri Guru. Physical is one of them, sparsha, touch is one of them, which is we try to do our best. So, when Baba is moving around, we make sure that we turn around and somehow we can touch him. And I heard that in Odisha, one mother came and bowed down to Baba, and before bowing down, he said, Baba, please take off your socks. So, this sparsha, touching, knowing Sri Guru by this methodology. Another is that I bow, you must be aware of it physically. So, that means suppose Guru is standing here, I bow here, Guru did not see me, so I turn around here and I bow here. So, there was one mother, I heard this from Guru, I heard this from Guruji, that one person came and bowed down, and I think Baba did not acknowledge it, maybe because Baba was busy. So, he did, what do you call this, he pitching, it was painful, Baba said. So, pinching. So, different ways. So, sparsha means touching, drishti, to observe. I read a story, a true story, you might have heard, but if not, it is beautiful. I will come back to that story. In Chicago ashram, we were organizing a program, and I invited some disciples because this will be a big program. So, the first question, one of them is very, like he wants to know, he said, if you know why, the how will come out. So, tell me why. So, he said that we will organize a program of Sri Guruji in some one temple or somewhere. He said, why? So, then this story came to my mind, which I would like to share. Have you heard of Thakur Nigamananda? Most of you have heard. Thakur Nigamananda. Thakur Nigamananda is one of the master Sri Guruji followed in his life. One day, he and some of his disciples were going in the Kumbh Mela. Kumbh Mela, you know. Anyone who doesn't know Kumbh Mela? Kumbh Mela is a big religious festival in India. 10 million people come there. This year it is going to happen in 2025. So, it will be definitely 15 million. But it is good. Like if you can go January, February time. So, he was walking, some of his disciples. Thakur Nigamananda was a very, if you read his books, he was very authoritative. Means his words, this is what it is. One of his disciples said that, Baba, I am done with you. I don't think you can teach me further. I am leaving you. He said, okay, leave. Where are you going to go? Wherever you go, you will find me only. That kind of teacher. So, he was walking with his disciples, and one disciple came. He said, Thakur, what age we have come out? Like, what kind of degradation of time? There is a sadhu there, standing in a stall and making all kinds of funny movement and wearing funny clothes to attract people's attention and to get some money. Because there is a tradition, whenever you go and meet a sadhu, you give some dakshina or money. So, Thakur became curious. So, Thakur, the writing is from Thakur only. So, he retraced, he said, where? He said, in the back. So, he went back, he said, you wait here. Then Thakur sees this person, and then he realizes he is actually not an ordinary man. He is actually a realized master. And Thakur went to him. He said, I went to him and I bowed down to him. He also bowed down to me. I said, Maharaj, why are you doing this? I know who you are. He said, he is telling, I also know who you are. So, then he said something which actually got stuck into me, and I would request you to contemplate on it. He said, look, People are here, they are walking around. Some are here to enjoy the crowd, enjoy the festival, enjoy the fair. Some are interested here to do many, many things. If, this is what he said, and he said, if they just glance at me once, no discussion, no conversation, just moving the eyes because I am doing some funny things, right? They will look at me. If they just have a glance at me once, they will have few steps, they will move few steps in their spiritual path. Just a glance. Drishti. So I told our Shikava team, I said our objective, I said our ashram objective is that to make sure people have a glance at Baba. That is the whole objective. Just glance, physical glance, like they will just see Baba. They may have whatever thoughts they have. They might have come because they are interested in spirituality, out of curiosity, or food. Fine. That's why we organize, make sure that there is always good food. It doesn't matter actually. It truly doesn't matter. He said actually very clearly, he said, one glance at me, one few steps ahead. So Thakur bowed down, and Thakur made a point and noted down. So drishti, just by observing master or guru, even for like a glance, even that doesn't matter if the guru is glancing at us or not. That is guru's problem. That is few steps we are taking ahead is certain. Sparsha is good, but sparsha is limited, as we can see, and we should not like create a chaos to do the sparsha part. So we should be careful. Smarana. So in the Guru Gita it said, Guru Murti Sada Dhyanam. You heard Guru Murti Sada Dhyanam. Remembering the teachings or Sri Guru, just remembrance also takes us few steps ahead. Just remembrance, loving remembrance. Some say, I have not tried that technique and nor I am telling you to practice, but some say, even if somebody is remembering negatively, like he is the worst enemy of me, even with that also apparently it helps. It's called Vairi Bhakti, or devotion with an in the form of enmity. Apparently it works. We don't know what works. So whatever at least written in the scripture, we can take it forward. So observing, touching, but be cautious, don't take like Sahajananda said and it touch. And smarana, remembering, and manana, of course, meditating on it. Why it is that? So the Guru Sharira, or the body of a realized being, is called Shiva Sharira. Shiva Deha, Shiva Sharira. Shiva here does not mean Lord Shiva. It means that, but it actually means, Shiva means Shiva Chaitanya. This is actually a body made up of 5 elements like ours, goes through all kinds of changes our body is going through. The difference is that in this body, pure consciousness is living without any kind of ignorance, without any kind of hindrance. In our body it doesn't, unless as and when we get realized. So hence, somebody might say that, well, why it is so important? This is the importance that I have understood, that because very difficult, very, very difficult to see a living or entity with pure consciousness in it. That is why in Dakshinamurti Stotra, he said, Ishwaraha Guruhu. He said, between Ishwara and Guru, there is fundamentally, in a principal way, there is no difference. Tattvic difference is not there. Tattvic means in a fundamental way, in a principal way. The difference is in the form of how do you observe it. So, whenever we connect with Sri Guru either through darshana, by observing, sparsha, by touching as and when possible, or manana, or listening, or remembering, smarana, remembering, manana, meditating. We should always remind ourselves that this being is not contained in this body, and that would be a fundamental error the moment we say that the Guru is contained in the body. So, there is a Baba says, there is a saying in Odia, I will say it in Odia, I think people who from Bengal they can understand, and then I will translate it. Baba says, Guru Molla, Shishya Kandila, Duhinka Jibana, Bifala Hela. You understood? Guru Molla, the Guru died. Shishya Kandila, the disciple cried. Life of both of them went to waste. Somebody came, I read this, somebody came from SRF, that is just after Paramahansa Yogananda's passing, came to Swami Chidanandji and said, Swamiji, I'm lonely. He said, what happened? He said, I had a guru and the guru died. He said, hey, come. What happened? He said, my guru died. He said, say it again. Then this fellow said, something is wrong. He said, Swamiji, he said, who is your guru? He said, Paramahansa Yogananda. He said, the moment you think your guru died, you have already said that he is not a guru. So, anytime we interact with Sri Guru or the teachings, at least we try to remember that. Another thing a guru represents to us, which I read about and I little bit analyzed in Sri Gurudev's life. Somebody asked Sri Ramakrishna that what is the difference between guru and an incarnation? It was asked to Thakur Nigamananda. He said there is a fundamental difference. Guru acknowledges that yesterday he was like us. Yesterday, day before, last birth, previous birth. At certain birth, Guru was exactly like us. Through seeking, practice, meditation, going through difficulties and so on and so forth, he has perfected. He removed the ignorance. And hence, only Guru can guide. Actually, God cannot guide. Actually, God, that is why Sri Rama is not Guru. Sri Krishna became Guru because Sri Krishna went through some difficulties. Thakur Nigamananda said that if you observe a Guru's life, you will see most of the problems we are going through, difficulties we are going through, he must have gone through it. Hence, he is able to guide. We take an example and we connect. We remember that when Sri Gurudev came from his home to live in Kadar Ashram, he got his silk cloths and he burnt it. Yesterday Baba said it is here in this book. We can ask. And we know actually, he actually was using his silk clothes. Somebody made a comment. So actually somebody asked to donate this. Then Baba said, well, if I donate, people will have more desire. Gurudev, in one of his biography, Baba mentions, Gurudev, when he first came, for a certain amount of time, he was mingling with the people from Bengal, those who were living in Puri, and playing cards. And then he realized that this is not for where this is not the reason why I am here. So that is why Sri Gurudev says, mistake is not for mistake. You know this. What is it? Mistake? Mistake is not for mistake, it is for correction. And this is how a demonstration is, that the Guru is in his life or for teaching purpose, whichever way we take it, correcting himself or showing the correction, that is the reason that where we can identify the Guru. Amita mentioned about the mother today, then I thought, none of us can understand mother. There is no way. At least we always think that the mother doesn't know anything. That's what generally our understanding is, right? All right. Huh? Is it correct? Our ability to comprehend, I mean, any ordinary mother doesn't need to be spiritual. Our ability to comprehend love, affection, is very limited to whom the affection is flowing to. The person can only express certain level of gratitude. Understanding it is not going to work. It's not going to work. No, I mean, it does just, the nature doesn't allow it. I mean, we can look at our life. Can we claim ever that our love for mother exceeded her love for us? In a general sense. I mean, special cases are different. So, our failures, one mother came and he said, well, Guru is telling, teachers are telling, books are telling, change, change. Amitabha said today, change, change. He said, I want to change, but change is not happening to me. How many of us identify with this statement that we want to change and I am not able to change? How many of us do you think is occurring to us? Please raise your hand. You see, we all identify this problem. And this Guru, I am sure that like mother, the Gurus are completely aware of it. That this fellow wants to change and has been difficult to change. So this continuous struggle, changing, again coming back. Suppose I am a short-tempered person, someone says, change, be a gentle person. Then for 5 days I am extremely gentle. And then I don't realize, I think I am gentle, after that short-tempered has come. The Gurus are aware of it, because that's how the mind works. They have gone through it. That is why they have no choice but to be compassionate. So the Gurus are extremely compassionate because they are aware that this struggle is not a one-day struggle. Baba mentioned today, yesterday day before. He said, anyone who thinks change is instantaneous is deceiving himself. Yesterday he said, or day before yesterday. That do not expect changes instantaneously. It would be gradual. As we practice, it would be gradual. And this is completely what authenticated by the scripture. In the Yoga Sutra, he says, Rishi Patanjali says, he said, when you practice Kriya Yoga, he uses the word tanu. Tanu means gradual attenuation, gradual decrease. He said, klesha tanu karanarthascha means the practice that you are implementing on yourself is going to gradually bring your sufferings down. Sufferings means the things that I do because of which I suffer. That's what it means. So the master or the mother, spiritual mother as we have defined, is completely aware of it. Hence, our job, my understanding is to continuously try to push the boundary and then fail, push the boundary and fail, push the boundary and fail. Because perfection, as the Gurus have shown in their life and as the scripture says and as we experience, is a gradual phenomenon. I thought initially that I would talk about Sri Gurudev's life a little bit, then I realized that Baba is continuing it. In one conference, one Ramakrishna Mission monk said, very beautiful thing. He said, let us read a lot, analyze a lot, but at least implement at least one. That could be our cornerstone, that could be our pole, any teaching of master, anything. So I thought it would be good that we ask ourselves, what is one teaching that holds us, inspired us to the depth of my heart? What is that? Reading books is fine. I mean, it helps us to be in good company, company of master and things like that. But a teaching must hold on to it, stick to us. Stick to us like gorilla glue. Gorilla glue, you cannot take it out. It cannot be taken out. That means it would be such a teaching that it would actually connect to every other teaching. What could be that? I would request you to reflect upon it. I thought that I promised myself that we will finish it 4:50. I will share something that has inspired me, and then maybe some of you can share yours. I come from a background where I am little pro definition. So, whenever I see a definition of a word, I feel really very joyful. I say there is a definition. And I was reading 11th chapter of the Bhagavatam, Ekadasa Skanda. The question is being asked to Sri Krishna to define certain words, define what charity is, define what forgiveness is, define what compassion is. So, then I counted, Sri Krishna has given definition of 32 words, what God is. So, that means the teacher is bound to give definition to a word. That is why in Vedanta, in yoga also, definition of word is given very high importance, that let the word when it is spoken understood very clearly between you and me. So, earlier I am talking about few decades, the idea, the word God, I have always searched for a definition, and that a definition cannot be violated. You cannot have a definition of water here and change the definition somewhere else, then it is no more water. So, I said what could be the definition of God that cannot be violated, irrespective of where do you come from, this tradition, that tradition, this religion, no religion. Because we use very generously, remember God, think of God, pray to God. So, you know this, I am just stating it out from Sri Gurudev. When I came across this statement, calmness is godliness, I would like to put it in front of you and let you think about it, not today, in your life. This statement cannot be violated. God is love, suppose we say love is God, God is love, suppose you connect it. Anyone in this world who said, I do not love calmness, I would like to hear. Anyone who said, no, I love restlessness. Not possible. Not possible. So, hence, calmness is love, love is calmness. So, we have to love calmness, there is no other way left. Hence, God is love, love is God. And you think about our life. Anything that we think godly, anything must connect to calmness. There is no violation. When I first heard this definition, so I felt like as if, there is a word in English, epiphany, right? Epiphany? What is that? Epiphany, right? Huh? How do you spell it? Phany, huh? I heard that kind of thing. Calmness is godliness. Somebody may say, I don't believe in God. I don't want God. I have nothing to do with God, and somebody has a right to say that. Why not? And we have friends, family members. I have a very close friend. He says, I don't believe in this idea of God. He says that. But he is one of the finest human beings I have ever seen. Finest. I said, if you would have been a God believing, you would have been a rishi. Then he would say, if you would not have been God believing, you would have been a social worker. But can anyone say that I don't love calmness, I do not want others to be calm. I do not want to go ahead towards calmness. I feel, I am not suggesting that you hold on to this, you can hold on to anything. I believe if we have not found one, find one that stays with us, any one teaching that stays with us irrespective of whatever state of mind I am. That I have absolutely, I do not have to believe this. It is not a belief that calmness is godliness. We can validate it right now, right at this moment. Whatever is godly, compassion is godly, charity is godly, mercy is godly, whatever is godly is connected to calmness. So, my request would be that you find one for yourself. If you have not found, if you have found, well and good, very nice. That would hold in thick and thin of our spiritual journey as a seeker. That would provide a concrete foundation to our meditation also. I remember that in early, when I took initiation, the teacher would say, remember this, remember something, and say, give love. I struggled, I did not understand it. So, what is give love means? Either you love or you do not love. For love, I must know somebody. Can anyone say the person is not familiar with calmness? Calmness is stillness. And this is not a statement, Gurudev just brought it out. It is a simplified what Sri Guruji says. And if you look at Sri Gurudev's writing, our lineage writing, Lahiri Baba's writings are like quinine. You know quinine? Quinine? Quinine is a substance, it is very bitter apparently. It is used for fever. And Lahiri Baba's teachings are like that. One sentence, 2 words, 3 words. The other day in one verse of Gita, Lahiri Baba has 2 sentences. Even the Gita sloka is more than Lahiri Baba's. So, Lahiri Baba is like that. If you go to Sannal Baba is little elaborate. I have not read much scriptural teaching from Sri Yukteswarji or Paramahansa Yoganandaji like that. But if you look at Sri Gurudev's teaching is a little more. And then Baba says, so I analyze, I find analogy like this. Lahiri Baba's teaching is quinine, Sri Gurudev's teaching is tablets, and Baba's teaching is tablet mixed with juice. You just drink, you don't know even tablet has gone inside. Baba said one day, he said, my teaching is pre-digested food. Truly, actually, you read this, he said, I know all this. That's how the feeling would come. That means it's fully digested. And more we reflect upon it, the internalization comes. So, I would request you to find that teaching, not 10, not 5, maybe first one that remains at all time. It is properly analyzed and it would be the foundation of our meditation, of our day-to-day life, everything else.